Hey, it's Reverend Bill, and I hope everyone's having a really good week. Weekend's coming up, which is always a good idea, good thing to happen. Hey, the Yankees are out of the playoffs, so that's a good thing always. Just finished watching the Giants beat Philadelphia. That was very unexpected, um, and things are going pretty well. Wanted to start off actually with a conversation I had with the AI. And it was one of those rare occasions where AI did not get really offended by me. Usually, our conversations end up with him telling me what a what, what a grotesque, mean, nasty person I am for asking questions or making insinuations about how crazy the world is. One of the observations I made was I guess there's a throuple in Montreal. There's three men that are living together. I got to make sure I get this right now for the legalities. They're not married, but they are in a union of sorts. Got to make this it's quite legal. The legalese here. Got to make sure I get it right. Nobody's married to anybody, but there's a legal union. It's kind of a civil union where three men are bound to each other in some kind of a civil union, um, where that allows them to foster care for a baby. And they're petitioning now to the government to, I guess, adopt it somehow. But in order to do that, they've got to get some kind of a uh, legal passage of some kind of for lack of a better word, I guess it's an adoption. Again, I got to be careful with my terminology here, but they're not married. They cannot marry. It's polymorph, I guess polymorphous, but it's not polygamy. And it's important that you realize they cannot marry. Maybe that's going to be down the road. I don't know. But it's going to give them equal care of this child that they've already fostered. And this is going to allow them certain legal rights. I'm not really sure where they're going with this, to be completely honest with you. I'm not sure why they're doing it, but it's important to them, I guess. I think the whole thing's crazy. It's very offensive, of course, to Chat GPT that I'd be questioning this. Um, but what's even more alarming is that they're looking to do this in um, in the USA as well. It said that it's already. Uh, I guess they've already tried doing this in three cities, not surprisingly, in Massachusetts. I think it was Cambridge, Somerville, and Arlington. The three places they've already started this, and again in Massachusetts, my old stomping ground, which is why I'm not there anymore. Not just because of that, but I'm not going to get into why all the reasons I got out of Massachusetts, but yeah, it's not surprising there. And I guess there's also some headway they said in California. Again, not surprising. And I think one of the place I want to say Maine, maybe, but it was definitely Northeast. But anyway, that's something to be aware of. Also, you know, I've been hearing a lot of stats, and I was trying to make some sense out of. I'm sure you guys probably heard also some stats being thrown around, saying that trans gun violence is all just hype, and there's no more trans shooting than any other kind of shooting. So I tried to dig around, and what I found out is at least not now. And I honestly, from my digging, I actually think, although I'm not sure because I found it out towards the end of my digging, but I actually think, unfortunately, I came to the thought that maybe Charlie Kirk might have known something. And I'll explain why in a second. When I was talking to the AI, he started throwing around like there was no differences, and I thought to myself, I'm sure there must be. And he was saying no. It's just that they're talking about it more, and it just seems because the press is reporting on it more. And then I started asking questions, and I said, "Well, wait a minute. You know, when you're saying there's no more trans shooting than anyone else, exactly what are we talking about here?" And the more I started digging in, I started realizing the numbers that they were throwing at us were like um, gangland shootings. And I mean, like, there's drug cartels or gang shootings or New York City kind of stuff, and that's not fair. I mean, there's not a lot of the drug cartels don't have a lot of, like, trans maniacs in their wigs running around, doing drive-by shootings. The trans have got nothing to do with those kind of killings. These are arbitrary, mentally unstable. Um, I can say that now because I'm not talking to AI, so I don't offend them. But these are unstable, arbitrary shootings where they just go nuts and they go into a school or a place of business or a restaurant, and they just arbitrarily start shooting people. These aren't premeditated, um, targeted shootings. I mean, I'll give an example. There was I read about a guy the other day, not a trans killing, but a mentally disturbed stabbing, actually, where a man held the door open for somebody, and the guy that held the door open for was a maniac, and for some reason got offended that a guy opened the door for him, and took out a knife and stabbed him. Now, I know it was a stabbing, but it was a senseless killing anyway. Something like that should be thrown in with the trans killings, because that was a mentally disturbed person that decided that the guy opening the door for him, um, I don't know, he didn't like. A killing like that would be a senseless killing that I would consider should be thrown in with something like a trans killing. That would be fair game. But I wouldn't call a gang killing or a mafia head or a cartel head or something like that. That wouldn't be fair game. That's completely premeditated and gangland. It's got nothing to do with a trans killing. So what they're doing is, or a lover's killing. A guy gets sent home and finds his wife in bed with his best friend. That's got nothing to do with trans. They shouldn't throw that into the pool. We're looking for um, unhinged killings. Now, if they compare unhinged killings, and there's no higher number of unhinged people, then I would say, okay, if there's just as many crazy people that are not trans as opposed to trans, then I guess it's valid. But you can't compare trans to mafia heads. That's no, not at all. So what is the answer? Well, the answer is I don't know, because now you got to start looking into motivations, and that would be hard to do. Now, the reason why I think Charlie Kirk might have had the answer, and I'm going to start going back into his speeches, because right before he was shot, and this didn't occur to me until after I was thinking about this, because when I was meditating, I remembered right before he was shot, somebody asked him about that. And if you remember, he did say, "Are you counting gangland shootings?" And I didn't realize that until today. I was thinking, he might have actually thought about that, and I would have liked to hear his response, because he might have been going in that direction. So if he was going in that direction, means he prepared for it. So if he prepared for it, he might have answered it before. So maybe if I go over um, his previous talks, he might have covered that, and he might have answered that for us already. So I'm going to go back, and I'm going to listen to some of his previous talks, because maybe he's already done the legwork for us. But I think that's very interesting, and it might be worth looking at. So anyway, I've already taken up 9 minutes of time, so I should probably get back to my stuff that I meant to talk about. That was just a precursor. Hmm. Anyway, I'm sorry for I didn't even get to it, but anyway, let's get to my sheet. Let's see. Oh boy. All right. Let's see. Bum bum bum. But that was kind of interesting anyway. This is a strange one coming up here. All right. Let's see what we got here. This is not going to take long, because there's nothing to report really. This is a woman that disappeared for 8 days. I think she left her girls' soccer game and she disappeared for 8 days. They went looking for her. And I think they spent a long time looking for her. She left her girls' soccer game and disappeared. They went looking for her. I think they said they looked all around the house where she lived. They spent 35 people, I think I read, looked for her. They couldn't find her. Um, and then after 8 days, she called them on her cell phone, which I guess her cell phone stayed charged. And she asked if someone could help her get home. And she was 2.5 miles down the street. Didn't know how she got there. And they got her and they brought her home. And that's it. Doesn't know where she was. No answers. Um, and that's it. I mean, here she's again. I don't know. I looked on. I talked to the AI, see if they had any more information. I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see what happened. But she was 2.5 miles down the street. She's gone for 8 days. She doesn't know where she was apparently, and no one does. And that's it. And like I said, I would like to give you more information. I searched. I couldn't find anything. I asked AIs to look around. They couldn't find anything. That's it. She just was gone for 8 days, and she looks like she's healthy. And her phone was stayed charged for 8 days, I guess, because she called them up and said, "Hey, I'm down the street. Come get me." And good old Brittany Gard, she's back home. I would say witchcraft. I get nothing else for you. I don't know. All right, moving on. This is interesting. Instead of watching Bad Bunny, Turning Point USA is actually, they haven't announced what, but during the Super Bowl, they said they're going to do a Turning Point USA halftime show. So if you don't want to put up with Bad Bunny, who I guess is gay, I don't know. They said it was gay, and then I guess was he dating somebody, Kendall Jenner, I guess. Um, I'm not a big Kardashian fan anyway, but if you're gonna date one, I guess he got the weakest one. I don't know, but regardless, he dated the Kardashian, and then somehow they wanted to give him. If they, I don't understand this. I mean, the way I see it, and I'll keep this. I'll keep this. Why would they book Bad Bunny? I mean, it's like they're just pushing the envelope. I mean, of course, Trump's going to come back and say, okay, well, if you're going to bring Bad Bunny in, we're going to bring ICE. I mean, what did you expect him to do? Of course, he's going to come back with ICE. It's a challenge. Did you think he was going to just let them? I mean, if you're going to bring if they brought in somebody like, I mean, you don't have to go with Taylor Swift. You could have gone with someone neutral. You could have gone with, I don't know, trying to think anybody. I mean, I'm not even sure who would be someone who'd be kind of neutral nowadays. I don't know. Who would be nice and neutral? I'm not even sure that any big. I mean, you couldn't go with Selena Gomez. That would be kind of. See, I'm trying to think. You wouldn't want to go with Taylor Swift. That's too. I don't know. Well, I don't even know any really country music people really that would be neutral enough. I'm not really hip enough. No, not really. Sabrina Carpenter really wouldn't be. It's kind of mousy music. I don't know. I don't know. Somebody. I don't even know who's popular anymore. You could go with the Stones, wheel them out in wheelchairs. I don't know. I suppose if they were younger, you could go with someone with that. I don't know. There's got to be somebody that's still around. I don't know. That would be neutral. Anyway, I'm not going to waste my whole podcast trying to think about that. But anyway, so they're doing this. But the weird thing is, it's like the world's just gone crazy. I feel like I used to be. I feel like I'm this a Bible thumper nowadays, just not because of me, just because the world's changed. Although I do have my Bible here, by the way. But I mean, it's It's just the world's just gone so crazy. It's just by default, I've turned to this old Bible thumper like the guy from Footloose. But the truth of the matter is, I used to be like people used to make fun of me when I used to party. I was the thing that wouldn't leave. I was the guy that was still up 4 o'clock in the morning drinking and dancing around. And now I'm the old Bible thumper because the world's just gone so crazy. It's weird. Anyway, so Turning Point USA is going to do a halftime show. Um, so if you want to watch that, you know, that's that's something. I mean, they even 50 Cent. I mean, does he still make music? I wouldn't mind a 50 Cent show if they wanted to do that. Anyway, Turning Point USA. Oh, here we go. This is what people are trying to tell us as a woman nowadays, huh? Anyway, Mike Browder, he performs under the name Aubrey. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Galachi, maybe. Anyway, good old Michael Browder. Let's see. He has got shocker. He's got 2 counts of sexual misconduct for having sex with a minor. I love his excuse though. I'm going to move along a little because I got a lot of stuff, and I try to keep these things down under a half an hour. I'm going to film miserably of a feeling. Anyway, um, his defense is that, now get this, he had sex with a 13-year-old boy who claims that he thought it was 18 or 19. Uh, but his defense is that it was so dark he couldn't see his age in the apartment. Well, what is he doing? What is he doing in an apartment with anyway? And he's so dark. Now, all right, I've had I've made love to a lot of beautiful women. I'm glad to say I've had my share, and I have never ever been with a woman that I couldn't recognize. That's never been so dark. I didn't know what she looked like. Um, I don't even know what to say about this. So they went in. He went into this place who didn't know what it looked like, what he looked like, what it looked like, whatever. Um, so obviously it wasn't his apartment. So it was in a strange apartment that was so dark. He didn't know who the person was, couldn't see the person. It was so dark he didn't know what the person looked like. This is acceptable to him. And this is acceptable to us to believe that he went into a place who didn't know where the place was. It was so dark he couldn't probably see around the place. To have sex with someone he couldn't recognize, didn't know who it was. Does this really happen to people? I mean, I've never, I'm not a square. I just told you I was the thing that wouldn't leave, but I've never had sex in a place where I didn't understand what the light switch was with a thing that I couldn't recognize. I don't know. And this is his defense. But then again, look at it. I don't know. Let's move along. Let's move along. Oh, this is another one. Okay. And this is supposed to be from a medical center that is respected. I mentioned before, and I was talking to the AI. It's when you shock the AIs, and I was talking about doctors that I knew that were Satanists, which is true. I do know doctors. I think anyone that's been following me do know that I do know doctors that are Satanists. They cure people supposedly in the daytime, and then pray to Satan, for who knows what at nighttime. And this doesn't surprise me in the least. So these are doctors that that are essentially giving puberty blockers to children on bad research documents, and they know that they're bad research documents, and they're called out on bad research documents, and as young as 9, and this person calls them out. And I'm going to just cut to the chase here. I'm not going to read the whole article, but essentially, they're called out on it. This Dr. Rosenthal was giving puberty blockers, and this person says to them that they read that they're giving puberty blockers to children as low as 8 and that causing a bone condition because of their bad treatment, because they're getting puberty blockers as young as 8, and they want them to respond, and they responded that they were actually 9. That was their response. But they did acknowledge that, yes, that they kind of knew that the research was bad. They didn't deny it. They knew that the research was bad, and they acknowledged that they still gave them up, but they wanted to be accurate, and they did correct that the age was actually 9, not 8, but they didn't deny anything else. So thank you, doctor, for correcting that. Yeah, okay, it was 9, not 8. But they didn't correct the fact that, yes, they knew that it was kludgy research, and they were still acting on it, even though they knew it was incorrect, because, hey, they were getting money. Being a doctor has nothing to do with being a good person. I promise you, they're in my family. I know this. Anyway, and here we go. Lest we forget about our good friends, the illegal immigrants. This guy was another one. I'm not, same old story, getting kicked out, coming back in, getting kicked out, coming back in. And what happened? He ended up killing 6 people in a crash in California. Happens all the time. California, it's the state that keeps on coming back. It's a state that keeps on giving, isn't it? California. 6 people died. Again, how many arrests did he get? Let's see. He was 49. He entered in 95 originally. He's been arrested several times for cocaine, multiple DUIs. Cocaine, multiple DUIs. It says multiple times, doesn't mention exactly how many. He was certainly known, and here is his expert driving. That's what it did, kill 6 people. Farm worker. Now, this is an interesting one. This one, this one to me is just, figures. Really, it's just turn the page. This one is interesting to me. And this has got me thinking. Very interesting. So this is what happened. There was a prisoner, and I'm not convinced they did anything wrong. Your guess is as good as mine. Let me just give you the rundown on this. So there was a prisoner in Texas, and I'm not sure how. I'm not sure it really matters. But what he did, and I think the problem here is we need a better time frame. But he somehow lit his mattress on fire in his cell, and they only say early in the morning. So I think that matters. We need a time exactly when he set his mattress on fire. And we don't know. It just says early in the morning. That, I think, is going to actually give us some answers. Now, the woman there, she was the guard. And I think that might be one of the problems. I don't know why they had women guards in a men's prison, but that is, I think, one of the major issues, which is not her fault. But I think that's an issue, because what happened was he obviously knew she was, this is common sense. This is not listed in the story, but this is just common sense. He probably knew she was the guard. And I think he lit the mattress on fire because he thought to himself that she was going to let him out, and then, he was going to attack her. I think that's pretty good guesswork, because when she saw that the mattress was in fire, she told him to put his hands out in the food. I guess there's a slot for the food to go in. And he refused to put his hands through so she could cuff him. So she couldn't cuff him, and he wasn't going to let he was not going to let her cuff him. That was the problem. So he was not going to let her cuff him. So when he wouldn't let her cuff him, she closed the food tray, and she called her supervisor at home, I think, which is him. So he's a supervisor. So I think what he did is he said to leave him alone and close the tray. And I think that's what it was. I'm going to just check and make sure this is true. So that's what happened is he said, to call. Yeah, he called the supervisor. I think he said to wait, to leave the food tray closed and leave. Right. So then what happened is, yeah, so they left it. Now at 3:19, and here's the problem: we don't know what time that happened. So I'm guessing. I'm guessing if this happened, let's say around 119, 130, I don't know, then he was locked in that cell. And again, we don't really know. I'm assuming that the cell was airtight. I would think that because he died. Obviously, it's not an open cell because the smoke couldn't get out, I guess. That would be my guess. So he died. So around that time at 3:19, they opened it up and he was dead. Okay, or he was unresponsive and he was pronounced dead an hour later, probably when he was probably, my guess is he was probably already dead. And an hour later, they had a doctor come in and announce him dead, but I'm guessing he was dead then. So here's what, see, there was no definitive time. Yeah, but I'm guessing that this is what I'm saying. So if he initially started, let's say it's the mattress fire at 1:30, you know, when did he die? I don't know. You see, that's the thing. I mean, how I don't see this as I don't really see this as criminal. I mean, if it happened at like 12:01 and he was locked in there for 3 hours and not being able to breathe. But you see, the thing is, his intent obviously was to attack her. So he didn't let her cuff him. I don't, you know, I think it was mishandled by the fact that they didn't send a man in. Did they have a man available? I don't know. I don't think you can fault her. And depending on what resources they had, I'm not sure how much the supervisor was responsible. Could they have gone in there and given him another chance? Maybe they did go in there and give him another chance. I don't know. But of the story, I think there's limited responsibility because you've got a prisoner trying to break out and he set the mattress on fire. He's not will not allow himself to be cuffed. He's obviously a threat to the guard, who's only a woman. Number one, it shouldn't have been a woman. Number two, he set the place on fire. I don't really see this. I mean, it was poorly managed because they shouldn't have had a woman there. You know, I don't know. I find this to be, if they're responsible, I don't think they should be that responsible. This is not a clear manslaughter or murder thing. I don't know. I would need more information, but if they're culpable for anything, it should be minor. I don't really see this as a mean, malicious crime at all. I think he put them in a really bad situation. And the truth of the matter is, a woman should not be put in that situation because if that guy is free, he's too strong for her. Despite what the movies say, a woman cannot beat up a man. And she's been in a position where if a guy gets out there one on one, she is not going to have a chance. So I think that's just a really, really bad situation for her. And she shouldn't be there. There should be a man there, in my opinion. Anyway, let's move along. There's one other thing I want to get to. This is, again, I am a minister, and the bottom line is I do try to have religion to an extent in some of the things. I was actually watching. It wasn't Charlie Kirk. It was someone else who was talking to a girl in one of these. I think he was probably trying to pick up the slack, but he's talking to a college girl, and she was very confused. And she was saying that homosexuality was not in the Bible. She was saying that anything in the Bible was saying that homosexuality is okay. It's homosexuality was again with little boys was in the Bible, and men are fine. I don't know what she's getting that. She also didn't understand what idolatry meant, which considering she's in college, I don't know what they're sending to college nowadays. I really don't. I remember when I was in college, I know way back when the dinosaurs were in the world, we would sit around and we would argue, Immanuel Kant versus, Hegel. And nowadays, I don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand what idolatry means. I don't know, but anyway, she's saying that in the Bible that there's nothing against homosexuality, just sex against little boys. So I just took a couple of seconds out, and just in case, there's some references here. I'm not going to go through them because I'm running out of time here. But I just want to go through a couple of things, in case anyone's here, or you've got children or anything, would say that that there's nothing in the Bible against against homosexuality. Yeah, just let's just see here. So we'll start with we'll go with let's see. Oh, Genesis. Yeah, there was one second, wait, where did I start? Yeah, in Genesis and the Sodom and Gomorrah, there was Sodom and Gomorrah. Essentially, they were destroyed. The last straw was when some angels came into Sodom and Gomorrah, and the men in Sodom and Gomorrah decided, they thought they were men, and they decided that they wanted to have sex with a man, and they were angels, and that was the last straw. They went around and they were banging on the doors saying they wanted to have sex with the men in there, and the angels heard that. The next morning, the angels destroyed the cities. So that was the end of Sodom and Gomorrah. They don't teach you this in school. They kind of cherry pick the stories. I found that a lot rereading the Bible, which I'm going through for I don't know how many times, but you do come across things they don't teach you in Catholic school. That's one of them. Sodom and Gomorrah actually they were very sinful, but the last straw was that the men in the village wanted to have sex with the angels, and that was it. In Leviticus, it says, "Thou shalt not lie with mankind, as with womankind is an abomination." And also in 20, it says, "If a man also lie with mankind as he lies with woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them." In Corinthians, or do you not know that the righteous will not inherit the kingdom of God? Do not be deceived, neither the sexually immoral, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor homosexuals, nor thieves, nor the greedy, nor those habitually drunk, nor verbal abusers, nor swindlers, nor inherit the kingdom of God. We got Romans, for the cause God gave them up into the vile affections, nor even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature, and likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one towards another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that which recompense of their error, which was meat. And then 1 Timothy, but we know that the law is good if one uses it lawfully, realizing the fact that law is not made for a righteous person, but for those who are lawless and rebellious, for the ungodly and sinners, for the unholy and worldly, for those who kill their fathers or mothers, for murderers, for the sexually immoral, homosexuals, slave traders, liars, perjurers, and whatever else is contrary to sound teaching, according to the glorious gospel of the blessed God, with which I have been entrusted. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. And I'm only a little over what I'd hoped to do. So anyway, well, thanks all of you for joining. And I hope you got something out of that today. And God bless you all. And please like, share, and subscribe. And hopefully you like that. And if you didn't like it, then hopefully you'll come back and I'll try harder next time. So thanks, and I will talk to you later on, and enjoy. Bye-bye now.